to the Automation Basecamp. I hope you're all enjoying like the leg room and the space. Feel free to stretch out. It was a lovely lunch. It was very hot upstairs. So we're going to engage you with 30 minutes of automation to wake you all up after that nice occurrence. So my name's Tristan. I'm Head of Account Management here at Adestra. This is Alex, who is Channel Partnerships Manager. And we're going to take you through a whirlwind journey of automation, supported by our wonderful clients from the NSPCC, Joe and Simon. And what we're going to do throughout this presentation is we're going to set the scene a little bit in terms of a lot of the messages and information you've heard today. Then Joe and Simon are going to come and talk a little bit about how they use automation, how it's helping them drive their relationship and engagement with their supporters and save them time. And then we're going to round it up with some takeaways for automation. Because we're aware that across our client base, there's very different levels of it. Some people are just dipping their toe in the water. Other people are just automating left, right, and center. So we want to make sure we've got something for everyone in the audience. I want to talk about it in the context of first-person marketing, though, because we've spoken about that a lot today. Hopefully, you'll have heard this term before through your account managers or through some of the publications that Adestra has been sending out. And automation is a great tactic to use in terms of first-person marketing. So what we mean by this is, I always like to oversimplify things. And if you think you've got a relationship, be it with a supporter, an event participant, it could be a customer, a client, across B2B or B2C, all first-person marketing is looking at how you can use the information you've got on that person, the relationship, all of that history, and making sure you're communicating with them in the right manner possible. So I like to think of myself as an old school marketer just because I got my qualification before the likes of Facebook and things like that were around. And one thing I remember from getting my marketing qualification is one thing that stayed with me throughout all this wonderful world of technology and AI and all of that. All we're trying to do is reach the right person with the right message at the right time. It really is as simple as that. And we want to show you how automation can be used as a tactic to do that.
So in terms of first-person marketing, as you already know, automation is one of the pillars within that. So why is that very important, and what's the takeaway from today? So what we're thinking is we want you guys to look at what you're doing with automation and consider the results that you're getting from those automated programs. So for people that have just started, it's more about moving you away from that 3-stage linear program. But if it works for you, how do you optimize that to get even better results? And then for people that have been more adventurous, it's about getting you guys to think about the data that automation is getting out for you and how are you using that to your advantage. So we talk about automation a lot, and I'm sure you've heard it at other of our summits, but why use automation? And it comes down to 3 things. 1, it saves you time. As marketers, we all want that extra hour. It saves you time to think about creative. It takes you time to think about strategy. It saves you time to think about the cross-channel piece, for example. Second, it's good for your clients because it creates a great customer journey and a personalized customer journey. The common misconception is that if it's automated, it's not personalized. But the fact of the matter is that because it's automated, it should be personalized. And then finally, the last one, and we really love this one, is because it gives you insights on your customers. So again, in a world where we're all trying to get as much as we can from our customers, it's really important to get that insight and use it properly. So what I'm going to do now is show you the different types of automation. So these are the 5 different types which coincide with a customer's life cycle. So no matter the industry, no matter the product, no matter how long that life cycle is, at one point, your customer will be in one of these stages. What you need to realize is that you've done that first effort. You acquired the customer. Now, what do you do to make him and encourage him to make that purchase? So you're looking at creating that relationship. Once you've done that, again, keeping them re-engaged to make them a repeat purchase. Keeping them re-engaged so that they become a brand advocate, for example. Why is that important? Because they can give you word-of-mouth marketing. They can bring you more customers and help with that customer acquisition. So it's really important that you kind of think about that in the context of what you're doing. And in terms of the types of automation, again, think about what you're currently using and how you could be doing it. And think about the programs that you're not currently implementing.
So every year at Adestra, we publish our email industry marketing census. We go out and interview, in partnership with eConsultancy, over 1,000 marketers across the UK. And I mean, it's full of stats. It's great bedtime reading. But one thing that consistently stands out is automation is always in the top 1 or top 2 of the advanced email techniques that people either have implemented or intend to implement. So if you're sat here thinking this is all great, but I remember Rusty saying this morning it's all about technology, you've got to have all your data in order, but you'll never necessarily get to that bit. One of the things we want to get over today is automation is dip your toe in the water with it and just have a little look at what it is you're doing, all of your processes, all of your systems, and then give it a go. Because automation is the same with every part of email. You've got to test and learn and optimize as you go. And just think, I mean, I know Alex said a simple 3-stage welcome program, but it really is easy to implement. And you're starting to build that relationship with your customer. And then you can move on to things like anniversary of purchases or birthday emails. Again, just a one-hit automation that's going to surprise and delight your customer. Of course, one of the other big benefits is it does reduce time and effort spent on otherwise manual processes. And this is one thing that the guys at the NSPCC have put really to their advantage. I have a charity background and know that there's a lot of different variables. You've got lots of different audience types and lots of different products that they're engaging with. So automation plays a really big key role here. So I am delighted to welcome to the stage Joe and Simon, who will be taking you through their fantastic automations.
Thanks very much, Tristan and Alex. Hi, everyone. I'm Joe. I'm a Digital Marketing Officer at the NSPCC, and my role mainly consists of working on email marketing, but I also upskill other colleagues across the organisation to run, deliver, optimise their email campaigns. And I work across digital campaigns across all marketing channels.
Hi everyone, so I'm Simon. I work at the NSPCC as a digital marketing manager. So yeah, I've worked in digital for several years now and majored in marketing over the last sort of 3 or 4 years, and at NSPCC look after digital campaigns and email. So we wanted to just take you through an automation journey that we've set up and just the steps that we've gone through. So just before that, this is a little bit of background. I think a lot of people know what we do. We're obviously a charity to help end child abuse, and we fundraise, as most charities will do, in many different ways. And fundraising events is one of our big areas of raising funds. So you've already heard a bit about automation from Adestra in terms of how it's really can be really powerful and the things you need to think about. I'm going to talk a bit about the challenge that we faced, our objectives, and then the solution, and as everyone always wants to know how it actually worked in terms of results and some of the things that we're doing next. So the challenge. So basically we used to send everything manually, and that used to take at least around 2 hours a week, something like that. And yeah, that's kind of across 50 different events with 6,000 odd participants. So yeah, it was quite a manual, arduous process. We wanted to try and find a way to streamline that, free up some time to actually look at optimizing, improving our emails that we're sending. And one of the big things that we saw is people would sign up for an event at different times. So you could have something that's 6 months away. Someone signs up 6 months before, someone who then signs up 3 months before. And with the manual process, people could wait months before they actually heard from us, where with an automated process, we could talk to people via email consistently and on an ongoing basis. So our objectives. So as you would expect, we wanted to create a really great experience for our supporters, want them to feel like they're supported, and give them some really good information that's going to help them with their training, if they're training for a running event or whatever it might be. And we know that, stating the obvious, but the more supported someone feels and the more they feel part of the event that they're running in, we know we'll raise more funds from that. So we wanted to increase the communication touch points, and email was obviously a really easy and simple way to do that, but using a really good effective journey. So the solution, I'm going to hand over back to Joe.
So in order to meet our objectives and to create a better overall email experience, we set up an automated email program, and on the screen is what it looks like when it's configured in Adestra. So it might look really, really complicated, loads of different boxes, like a massive flow chart, but really it's fairly simple in the way that it works. It just passes contacts through various filters and putting them into an individual journey that's an appropriate length. So it's normally dependent on when a participant's event is happening, whether it's 5 months away, 6 months away, only a couple of weeks away. The journey is tailored to that. And also the journey calculates when a participant will be receiving each email during their journey. So on the right-hand side, you can see the wait times between when each individual email is sent and some of the individual email campaigns that recipients receive. So it's basically just lots of individual journeys within one master journey. And like Simon was saying earlier, it's really great for saving time because it stops us having to send out lots of individual emails to each participant. So on the screen, this is an example of an email that was in our running automated journey. And we created one master journey for this, and within that master journey we had 7 truncated journeys for all NSPCC participants, including emails included a welcome email, training email, nutrition, fundraising email. And they were finally passed into a good luck program, and they received a good luck email a couple of days before their event wishing them all the best. And as well as the automation, we added in personalisation as we had more time to play around with this and make that really good and engaging. So on the screen, we've got an example of Daniel, who's running the Brighton Marathon, and he's aiming to raise £475 for the NSPCC, and his event manager is Claire. So these are all personalised content fields, and they'll get pulled into each of the email. So each participant will receive personalised content. So these are just examples of some of the emails that Daniel will receive on his journey. We've got a fundraising email, a training email, and a good luck email. So just to talk you through some of the results to show the impact that implementing automated journeys into our email strategy has had. Previously, our event emails had an average open rate of 44.5% when they were sent individually. And since launching the automated journeys, it's increased by 49%, which doesn't seem like a huge increase, but we're sending emails to a lot of people. And that is a substantial increase for us. And previously, our click-to-open rate was 16%, and it's increased to 21%. And we've also been achieving some really high click-through rates for some of our individual emails, including 62% for one. So we found automated journeys performed a lot better than our previous events emails because we have more time to make emails more engaging and relevant to the audience. And we also, they're also more timely, so we acknowledge that sometimes, it really helped people to receive a really engaging email when they're in the final stages of their marathon training. For instance, they're running kind of 18 to 20 miles at the weekend, and kind of giving them that boost while they're doing that was really helpful. So in terms of what we're working on now and what we've got coming up, recently we've developed a journey for supporters-own events, and these are for supporters who want to fundraise for the NSPCC by hosting their own fundraising events in their own time, which can include things like bake sales and pub quizzes. So previously we would just send fundraisers one email, and we've now expanded this to 4 separate emails to make sure it's a more supportive and engaging journey. And like the running automated emails, we added conditional content to these emails based on when the participant received their email. So on the screen, we've got an example of one in the summer. They'd receive summer-specific ideas like cake sales. And if it's autumn, ideas on how to hold a Halloween fundraiser. And we made sure these emails were like really strong, really clear, really on brand, and that we had nice updated photography in there too. So to run through some of the results of these supporters-own event emails. We had really, really great results, actually. And number of opens were up by 172%. Our average click-to-open rate across the 4 emails was 34.9% compared to 18.6% that we were seeing for the single email. And our total clicks were up by 410%. So in terms of what's next for us and what we're working on, following the success of our running automated journey, we're looking to roll out additional automated journeys for things like treks and challenge events, which include our Great Wall of China trek and our skydive event, for cycling events, and also for the NSPCC shop. Thanks.
Thank you so much for that, Simon and Joe. There'll be question time at the end, and you can ask some of the questions on their brilliant results. They did amazing, didn't they? So we're going to move on to questions for you guys, actually. We thought we'd turn it up a bit and change it up a bit. So we're going to ask you some questions to find out what you're currently doing. So by show of hands, taking it back to school a bit, do you currently have an active welcome or nurture journey? Okay, this is good. This makes me happy. Secondly, do you adjust your programs based on their performance? We have 2, 3, yay. Thirdly, do you use behavior data to send automated triggers and real-time triggers? Okay, a few more people there, amazing. And now finally, do you use the insights from your journeys to create personas or for progressive profiling? Yes, we have one. We had one this morning as well, so this is amazing. Thank you so much for that. You're doing brilliant. That's actually advanced automation. So this is what we're trying to show you guys, how you could get to that point where you could use those insights and kind of look at what you're doing and how you could use it to your advantage.
So it's cool. It's good to get a feel for where the room's at with automation, and there's one thing that excites both of us and most of us at Adestra. It's when people are looking at progressive profiling, because it's such a fantastic technique, and hopefully something we've gotten over today, particularly from Susie's session with Frontier, is around building that relationship and engagement with your customer. So why automation for this? I want to take you all on a date, you lucky people. So if you think about going on a date, you would not go from this, for example, to this straight away. You'd want to build that relationship over time. So let's imagine I'm, sorry, Mike there, I'm the stick man, and I'm having to think about, met the person of my dreams, I'm having to think about, well, I want to get to know them a little bit, I want to know what they're interested in, potentially what do they want from me, and I do my research, I look at, in a really non-creepy way, what data I've gathered on that person. And I've discovered, owing to the limited power of Google image search on stickmen, that they like chess. Who doesn't like chess on a date? And again, we build that relationship and learn how they play chess, whether they like to start or go second. And that relationship blossoms because there's that mutual trust and knowledge. And eventually you just fall madly in love and eventually get to the last stage, which I'm assuming is post-purchase, represented as a stick baby. But this is how you can use automation to build that relationship over time. And we want to give you guys 3 takeaways and things to think about. And we're going to run through them now and highlight them with some case studies. The first one, takeaway, is around finding out what they're interested in. So like my stick data is interested in chess, how some of our clients are doing that using automation. We've heard from the NSPCC guys about how much time they're saving with it. So also looking at how other clients are using automation to really automate key touch points and timelines on that journey. Remember also the importance of that is making sure you're getting that right message at the right time. So timeliness is a great use for automation. And then finally, we'll look at how you can optimize using automation to really build that engagement and that brand loyalty. So to kick off, we have a case study from the University of Birmingham and their music department as well. And they were in that, I don't know whether it's horrendous or not, but a situation where someone's unearthed a pot of 5,000 random data contacts that aren't really engaged. Just have to say.
Opted in, though.
Opted. I was about to say, yep, in this post-GDPR world, they were opted in, so it's fine. It's fine. So they decided, they wanted to find out more about these people and decided to use automation to do this. Unusually, we presented the results. The results were fantastic, so, but we'll take you through what they're doing. And it's very simple. They just directed people to a preference center, and it's not rocket science. This is what we love about automation. But they did it for a really nice email campaign. They're very upfront. It's like, we would like to get to know you better. Please tell us what you want to hear from us about. And they incentivized it with a cup of coffee as well, with a nice animated GIF there. So you can see on the left, you've got a really nice, clear preference center, and here you can see some of the messages in the email. Tailor my emails for me, but importantly, really upfront, actually, I just don't want to hear from you. So we like this because they're using automation to find out more about their audience, find out what those interests are, and then importantly, they're really tailoring their communications once they've got that to meet the interests of the audience. But they've also used it as a way to cleanse this pot of 5,000 contacts that they knew nothing about, because there's no point in mailing people if they don't want to hear from you. It's going to have potential damage on your sender reputation. And that's another great way you can use automation. If you're thinking about what processes you currently have manually, think about what role automation can play with that, because these kinds of programs are then continually cleansing your list and making sure your reputation's good and you're talking to an engaged audience.
So now you have their preferences, you know what their interests are. What are you doing with that? On screen, I took a graph from our 2018 email marketing census because it shows the triggers that marketers are currently using. So the first three should come as no surprise: subscription to website or newsletter, and abandoned basket. Subscription to website, again, that's essentially your welcome email, and that's something everyone should be looking to implement if they're not doing so already, because as a customer, I want to know that you've acknowledged me and that I'm on that list if I choose to share my information with you. That's one thing. And then the third one, actually, is the abandoned basket email. So this is very important because research out there has shown that essentially you could be making 3 times as much if you have this program in place. And technology gives you that. It's an easy way to implement it as well. So do speak to your account managers if you're interested in that. It's not just for retail as well. You can use it for B2B as well, too. But what I wanted to show you here is, if you look down the graph, there's a lot of triggers that are not currently used to their full potential. So if we're thinking about content downloaded from the website, the click-through but no purchase, this is all related to behavioral data and essentially advanced automation. It's important to move to advanced automation because that's kind of linked to email innovation according to our census. So behavioral data is just as simple as you guys sent me an email, and I opened it, and I clicked on a specific part of that email. Now you have 2 things that you know about me. I'm interested in what you're saying, and I'm interested in a specific product that you had within that email. So how do you use this within our platform? We have a feature called the Event Observer, which is currently in beta. So again, account managers, we'll drop them a line, and they'll be able to give you a lot more information. But what this does is it uses that behavioral data. So it helps you create granular and complex journeys based on contact engagement to your email. The beauty of it is that you can use it with all of the events within our platform. So opens and clicks, specific links and link labels that a person has clicked on, which is really good to do because you could send it in real time. So you can bypass those filters now. And what can happen is you could send that real-time response and use that initial interest. So for some people and for some of us in the room, it's really important to kind of use that interest, and because that could potentially be the difference between making the sale or losing that customer. So I'm going to show you an example from Future Publishing. This is something they did a few years back, but it's really interesting to show you guys because what they did is pretty much what we did with you guys. They sent out a campaign that had a poll in it, and they asked what I was watching tonight. You'll see the campaign on screen now, and it's asking, what will you be watching tonight? Star Wars, Game of Thrones, Back to the Future, or The Avengers. If I clicked on The Avengers, I'd get a follow-up email that would have superheroes in it. If Tristan clicked on Star Wars, I'm assuming Star Wars at this point, he'd get a Darth Vader email. And again, same journey between the two of us, but catered to our likes and our interests. What's important here is not only the results, which were brilliant, they got 30% click-to-open rate and a 71 open rate on their TV guide. So the follow-up email after these two, again, putting those people in that automated journey. But what they did is they used the customer insights that they had and sent them on a real-time journey for them. So you'll see this in automation. And the next slide will show you kind of what it looks like within our APB, which is brilliant. As you can see, it's a system of filters. But now with the Event Observer, you can do that in real time. So if I clicked on it, I'd straight away get that second email. And again, looking at that interest and what I want to do. And having that real-time response for a customer is really important. Because again, it shows that you're actually taking their opinion into account. So if they've shared that data with you, why not use it to your advantage? And again, giving them reassurance that they're getting something personalized and targeted to their needs.
So the third bit is around optimization of your automations. And to highlight this, we've just heard from Lauren at Ardington, and it is a similar story, so I'm not going to go into that on too much detail because I could not do it the same justice that she has. But I think the takeaway here is everyone here is used to sending a campaign and then looking at results, maybe looking at a heat map, looking at where people are engaging most, which are the most popular links, what are the open rates and the conversion rate. But I think people don't do that as much for the automations as well, and test and optimize as they go. And of course, Lauren's just told us how wonderful that worked for her across her three brands. And you can see this is one of the examples of it, where it was through simple splitting by segment based on gender, saw an uplift. And of course, she also talked about the different age ranges and frequency. So looking at that, those kind of different options holistically across an entire program can drive impressive results. And yes, again, I mean, Alex had a Shazam moment with a new feature. I thought I'd like one as well. We've made this easier in the platform as well. And again, it is in beta, so do speak to your account managers. But it's what we call the split path function. And you can see it right here at the beginning. What this enables you to do is split people across multiple paths as they go through an automation. And you can weight it. So this clever piece of kit enables you to actually test an automation live whilst having a control group. So you could have your main journey, you see at the top there, which is the standard one. Then you've got two variants you potentially want to follow up on, and then see what results you get from that. And within the same automation, you can use that function to merge the paths back as well. So you can actually test individual elements of an automation rather than a whole program. We're used to testing and optimizing on how emails are rendered, the kind of design, the message, the copy. So this really enables us to expand this across entire automations, and we're hoping to see some powerful usage of it and some great results.
So we've had the Basecamp now. What are your takeaways? What do we want you to kind of go home and think about? Tristan mentioned them before, but I think it's good to kind of put them into context with the features that we've just shown you. So the first one is find out what your customers are interested in. Again, bringing it back to the point of they've went to the effort to share that data with you, so use it to your advantage. The second bit of information is about automating your touch points and using that for timeliness, but also for that real-time triggers that you could send to your customers, and making use of the Event Observer, because that could save you time, but also cater their journey to what they want. And then finally, Tristan's just mentioned it, optimize that journey and build the relationship. So automation can bring you great results, and for some of you here, it already is, but think about what you could be doing next and how you're catering it to your database, because you guys know what your KPIs are and what works best for your business. So it's important to kind of integrate that into what you're doing.
One final thought in a very Jerry Springer-esque way I want to bring to the table is one thing I've noticed working across our entire client portfolio is I feel like a lot of people are afraid of automation. It's this massive iceberg. I can see someone nodding. I'm not going to point at you, but I understand that. And you want to chip away at it a little bit. And we always tell people, you've got to start small, test, learn, and optimize as you go. So we call this incremental innovation. This is one of the most important parts of automation for me. You've got to take your time to plan it. Danny mentioned in her presentation, I think it was point 3, it was taking that step back and planning it before you even start. So sit in the room, grab a whole load of post-it notes and think about what journey you want to put your customers on, what you want them to experience. Think about what business opportunity or challenge you're trying to tackle. If it's like you're taking up too much resource in doing these things, how can automation play a role in this? And then design it. Come and chat to your account manager. We work on automations across our portfolio, so we can come and give you some ideas, share some best practice. And then once you've got that planned out, it's really easy to put it into the system, and then you can use some of the new functionality, maybe test it as you go using the split pass to see what kind of effect that's having. So that's the end of our slides. I'm going to invite Simon and Joe back on stage. And if you do have any questions, I've got Paris looking horrified, holding a microphone she can throw around. So we'd like to open it up to the audience.
Just a question to you guys. When you did your automated program, did you find any segments that were just not responding to part of that customer journey? And if you did, how did you kind of attempt to move them on to the next stage, as it were?
So currently we've only got the running automated journey running and the supporter zone events. So they're pretty engaged audiences already. And they have an interest in opening their emails because they want to find out information like the wave time for their marathon, that kind of thing. So we haven't really experimented running automated journeys for colder audiences. Yeah.
Bring it to that. If that was the case, what you could be doing is actually you could take those people out of the automation, so pause it and send them to a different automated program that's a nurture journey. So if you're seeing that they went halfway through and you haven't seen the engagement that you're looking to kind of get from them, you could split them out and just send them into another automation that's a nurture program. So again, retargeting them and looking at, are you doing and are you communicating what they want to hear, or should you be looking at different avenues?
For your automated journeys, are the filters specific, like 6 months ago, 5 months ago, 4 months ago type thing? Or are they kind of groups of, somewhere in that month, it's kind of around 5 months ago? And if it's the first option, what do you do about people who kind of fall between the gaps of the different months?
So we round it up. So basically, for like a 5-month journey, we make sure that there's kind of a month leeway. So if they get added in nearer to the 6-month journey, then they would still pass through the journey without receiving their emails after the event. So we tend to have a little bit of a contingency plan just in case people get added in later on in the month.
Does that mean you can't have like specific day before emails saying good luck for tomorrow?
So when people have passed through the journey and they've received all of their emails and they need to receive the good luck email, we send that out 2 days before the event. So if someone signs up to an event 2 days before, they won't get added into the main journey. They'll just get sent their good luck journey email. But we then take the sign-off process off our website when it's 2 days before the event anyway. So we wouldn't ever be in a situation where someone signs up less than 2 days away from the event.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hiya. I've got a question about automation, the data related. Where do you keep data, in Adestra or in your own CRM when it comes to automation and you receive different data?
Several different databases. We have Razor's Edge for all of our fundraising contacts, and then we have an events database as well. But because we're such a big organisation, we send out so many emails. We have a data team, and they're responsible for selecting the data and sending it to us. So there's like a whole briefing process around that as well. So we're ensuring that we're getting the right contacts.
So when Adestra sends an email, they get the data from different databases and check through that?
The data team actually upload it as a spreadsheet, or we upload it as a spreadsheet. But originally the data comes from a variety of databases. But we make sure the data is kind of as clean as possible so that personalisation is working properly.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Paris.
When you set up your automation programs, did you or have you done any optimizing around the number of campaigns within each of the programs and also the wait time between each campaign?
Do you know, have you done any of that, Simon?
No is the simple answer, I think. The journey is quite complex, and we're kind of at the stage where we've launched one. We're having to tweak it a little bit at the moment, and to be honest with you, once we've done that and got it working really nicely, we want to then use it for the others. But yeah, we totally get that we need to look at how things are performing. Are there certain emails in the journey that we need to tweak? But yeah, we haven't got there yet.
To know is that what we advise is best practice just in terms of building the automation sequences. If you're using a filter system, it's good to have a wait node from that initial email, just because if you're checking, for example, opens or clicks, you want that to be registered. So if you're sending that first email, it's good to have at least 30 minutes to give people time to react to that email so that you could then push them through.
I think to add to that as well, whilst Alex is the cold, hard, data-minded person, I'm the soft, fluffy human person. You're going to kill me for that. I always like to, I think I mentioned it, put myself in the shoes of a customer or of a participant or the end recipient. And when you're planning your journeys at the beginning, think about what you would want to receive from them as a customer. If you have time, do some audience research, find out what their expectations are in advance, or set it up and running and ask for feedback after. So I think a combination of cold, hard data, warm, soft, fluffy journey planning, just ultimately always bear in mind what your customer, put yourself in the shoes of the customer, and I think that will get some good results on the automation.
And just to add to that, sorry, I think in terms of automation, for us, I don't think it's made any of our emails any less personalised. I think if you have fields like first name for our events, for instance, like wave time, fundraising total, event manager, like all those fields, just kind of think outside the box really and think about what information you have about your contacts. You can still make your emails as personalised as if you were just doing single sends. So I don't think we've found that our emails are any less personal. So yeah, it's something to bear in mind.
Well, if that's everything, I want to say thank you again to our two speakers, Joe and Simon. It's been great having you here. That's the end of this Basecamp. So the next thing is teas, coffees, potentially cake. There may not be cake, but there may be cake upstairs in the Riverside room. So that's on the 3rd floor. And thank you all for coming.